Hello, this is Art Mazer. Today we're going to be looking at the recording associated with homework 2. If you recall, homework 2 requests that we set a target pose, which is a location and orientation for a robot, and then have the robot move from its initial pose to that target pose. So in this video, we're going to set the code for the target and explain some of the parameters that we use in the code. We'll look at results and explain the algorithm while we look at the results. So let's open up the source code, or a portion of the source code, and look at what we can, some of the parameters that we're going to view. This is the target pose right here, the target. Right now it's set at 24 for the X position, 15 for the Y position, and 0.25 for the orientation or for the theta value. These are a bit high. I'm going to reset these so that we aren't waiting forever. It would take a long time for the robot to read this position with some of the other parameters that I have. So let's just -5. Let's reset those. And let's look at some of the other parameters. This SPAC is the spin acceleration, a maximum spin acceleration. I don't want the robot to be able to instantaneously spin about its axis, so there's a maximum acceleration that's encoded in here. There's maximum speed as well. There's a maximum linear acceleration or deceleration. And also look at this EPS, which is a tolerance level for error in the final position. So once the robot reaches within this tolerance level of the target, it declares victory and it will stop there. Right now it's set at 0.2, which one might consider to be a little bit high, but for reasons that I'll explain while we're watching the results, it moves a little bit slowly, and we'd wait a long time for it to get to the exact location if I set that tolerance level a little bit lower. So let's move on and look at some results. The first thing we do is go ahead and initiate the ROS core so that we have a master that communicates across the nodes. Now let's go in. Prior to doing that, I better save my code here. Now let's go to our workspace, and we have to rebuild that code because I changed it. So there we go, rebuilding it. And we have to source this, and now we're ready to launch. So the code is launching, and let's go ahead and use the ROS topics to see what the pose is, and we can watch it evolving. And there you go. You can see here the X position, the Y position, and the theta position. The X position and Y position are not changing. Right now it's in a first of 3 stages. The first stage is to get its orientation to point toward the target. So here you see the orientation is changing and it's pointing toward the target. Once it reaches the point where it cuts the target, it will shift. It'll start to move toward the target. So don't know how long that will take. There we go. It's now starting to move toward the target. There are a couple things to note. The way that this is moving is by setting up a Lyapunov function, and the robot follows the anti-gradient of the Lyapunov function. You can think of the Lyapunov function as potential surfaces, and the robot is moving from higher potential surface to to the lowest potential surface, which is, and the lowest potential surface is set at the target. While it's moving along there, it slows down as it comes close toward the target. This is because the gradient gets smaller and smaller as we're getting close to the target, and the gradient is setting the speed. So we'll let it proceed onward. What did I have here? What did I set for the target? 8 and -5, okay. So let's look here. It's right now coming up at 6 and close to -4. And we'll let it go on. It will slow down when it gets close to the target, so maybe I set this a little bit high as well. Maybe I should have given it a closer target. While we're waiting for it to go, I will say that I attempted to do this all in one stage. The algorithm now is a 3-stage algorithm: point toward the target, move toward the target, and then reorient yourself to the final orientation. I tried to do it all in one scoop by choosing a Lyapunov function that would hopefully do that. That didn't quite work out so well. It worked as long as the initial orientation wasn't too far off the direction that it wanted to move, and the final orientation wasn't too far out, but you couldn't set the orientations in an arbitrary manner. So I did divide it into those 3 separate components. Orient your direction toward the target, move toward the target, and once you're close enough toward the target, go ahead and reorient yourself. Some of the code still has the remnants of the original code, which is good in many ways. One way that it's good is if the orientation here should get off, so suppose there's a disturbance that comes along and moves that mobile robot off of its trajectory, then this would self-correct following the potential toward the target. And it would do so in a very smooth manner. So that's the advantage of using the Lyapunov function as a method for setting your trajectory. Okay, so now you see we've come close to the target, not quite there. We're at 7.83 and -4.89. Remember, the target was set to 8 and -5. And the reason we're not quite there is because of that tolerance level. We've gone within the tolerance level, and so now it can proceed to the next stage, which is just setting the orientation toward the final target orientation. If I had set the tolerance level lower, it would have taken a lot longer to reach there, because, as we noted, the robot slows down as it reaches the target. So now we're coming close to the final target of 0.25. I'm not going to wait till we get there, because that would take a long time as it slows down. So I'm going to stop right now. You can see that it's 0.244, and we'll let it get 0.246, and we're not changing too much as we approach this target. So I'm going to end it now. Thank you very much.